What's going on, guys? It's Fight Season MMA, and today, breaking news, the fight that we've been waiting for this fight to be officially announced for months now. We knew that this was going to be the fight to headline UFC 311. We just didn't know when it was going to be announced and scheduled. But officially, Islam Makhachev, #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, is taking on the rematch of Arman Tsarukyan, the #1 contender inside the UFC lightweight division. In addition to that fight, Islam's teammate and partner in Khabib Nurmagomedov's little cousin, Umar Nurmagomedov, gets his title shot against Merab Dvalishvili, the UFC bantamweight champion. Umar versus Merab, Islam versus Arman. UFC 311 is stacked. Also, Jamal Hill, Yuri Prohaska on that card. Bogdan Guskov versus Johnny Walker is there. Peyton Talbot is fighting on that card. There is some incredible fights shaping up for UFC 311, and it is going to be an absolute banger of a card to start the year off right in 2025 in the UFC organization. But if you guys enjoyed the UFC content, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, just so you guys are always updated with the most recent UFC news, just like this, Islam and Arman being announced officially. And as well, while you're down there, please turn on the post notifications. But let's jump right into the video, kind of breaking down these two fights in specific: Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan, Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov. So, officially, UFC 311 is going to be headlined by Islam Makhachev taking on Arman Tsarukyan. It's the fight that we've needed inside the organization. Arman Tsarukyan is coming off a win over Charles Oliveira at UFC 300. A very close win, but a very good win for Arman. Before that, Arman beat Beneil Dariush, main event, Austin, Texas, December 2nd, 2023. One of the best fight cards of the year. I will always remember watching that card. Knocked Beneil out in 1 minute flat. He's finally getting his title shot, which is actually a rematch against the current UFC lightweight champion, Islam Makhachev. One of Islam's toughest fights inside the organization as a whole. Makhachev, 26-1, is an absolute wrecking crew out there, whereas Arman Tsarukyan is 22-3. This is an absolute banger of a fight to start off the year. The lightweight division is finally moving. Islam only defended his title once in the year 2024, which was on June 1st against Dustin the Diamond Poirier. One of the greatest fights of 2024, in my opinion. That was an absolute banger out there, but this is going to be a lot different of a fight for Islam Makhachev. Arman is a little bit shorter than Poirier, I believe. He's got great jiu-jitsu, and he's got great wrestling. He's one of the best wrestlers inside the UFC lightweight division. I don't know if he's better than Islam in the wrestling department, but I do think that he is going to be able to stand with Islam and wrestle in some of those aspects. This fight is really going to be, can Arman get this fight to the ground and in the clinch to fight Islam in those categories and those areas? Because genuinely, Islam is so developed on the stand-up. I think he's going to be able to piece up Arman in some different ways. The hypothetical odds, these are just odds that have come out by different sources. They're saying that Islam is going to be a -125 favorite over Arman as a +100, and I genuinely think that that's pretty good odds for this fight. I think this is going to be a very close fight. I do think that Islam needs to be favored. He's pound-for-pound #1 in the world for a reason, but Arman Tsarukyan is a top 20 fighter inside the organization, no doubt within my mind. Arman's got a great, well-rounded game. He was able to defend the submission attempts from Charles Oliveira, being able to out-wrestling him in different aspects and really be able to show why he's one of the most resilient fighters inside the UFC right now. Arman Tsarukyan is a great fighter. Islam Makhachev is a great fighter, and this is going to be one of the best fights of 2025 happening on June 18th, super early in the year, and I cannot wait to see these two rematch it for the second time. Now, the second fight, and honestly the more surprising fight that got announced, Merab Dvalishvili is going to be defending his UFC bantamweight title against the rising Umar Nurmagomedov, Khabib's little cousin. Now, Khabib is probably going to be in the corner for both Umar and Islam in this fight, which is an absolutely crazy thing, considering that this fight is going down, or both these fights are going down in Los Angeles, California, in the new Intuit Dome. But we had a scare earlier in this year where we were talking about Umar fighting Song Yadong, main event UFC Tampa, December 14th, and ultimately that fight didn't end up going through. We thought that was going to be the fight happening on that day, and just kind of fell through. I don't know why, but there was a big stir-up saying that Merab Dvalishvili was going out there and ducking Umar because he wanted to give Sean O'Malley the title shot. And ultimately, that wasn't the case. Merab stood on his word, said he's going to fight anytime, anywhere, and you got to give Merab a lot of respect for that. He might not be the most liked champion because of his style being a little boring. Now, he's got some really funny skits that he's been putting out recently, but Merab Dvalishvili is a great fighter, and going up against Umar Nurmagomedov is an incredible challenge to be had for Merab currently for his first title defense. Now, Merab Dvalishvili is 18-4 as the UFC champion. Umar Nurmagomedov 18-0. This is going to be a great fight. Umar's a great wrestler, great grappling, jiu-jitsu ability, but is also a great taekwondo striker, and I do think he's going to be able to clip Merab in the stand-up of this fight. Now, the biggest thing that Merab has is that gas tank. Umar has never fought someone with the gas tank like Merab. He did go all 5 with Corey Sandhagen, but Sandhagen has turned into a different fighter. He's been kind of a little bit more paced and a little slow, and he doesn't chase the finish as much as he most recently was. But really, Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov is an absolute banger to start off the year. This is something that we were not expecting inside the organization. We were not expecting to be able to see Umar and Merab go in there to co-headline a card, considering that this usually the bantamweights recently have not been co-headlining, but I think that's just because Sean O'Malley's such a massive star that they kind of put him in the main event slot. But getting Merab and getting Umar in there, absolutely incredible fight. I do think the winner should fight the winner of hopefully Corey Sandhagen and Sean O'Malley. I think that would be a great fight, or possibly the winner fight Peter Yan, someone like that. But I do think that this fight is a great co-main event. This might even be better than the main event in some aspects. But I'm so excited to see Merab Dvalishvili and Umar Nurmagomedov go out and duke it out in California. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA. Please let me know what you think down below in the comment section about Umar Nurmagomedov taking on Merab Dvalishvili, UFC 311 co-main event, and your main event for UFC 311 officially announced. Islam Makhachev going to take on Arman Tsarukyan for their second bout between one another. That first fight that they had was very, very, very close, and I do think that Arman is going to pose some different threats to Islam that he hasn't seen from a lot of different fighters. Arman's the best wrestler inside the lightweight division besides Islam, but Islam is too well-rounded. He's going to go in there and be able to strike with Arman. He's going to be able to do a lot of different things that push him over the top in a lot of different aspects to ultimately allow him to go in there and I think get the win over Tsarukyan. But that is a very, very, very tough fight to call. But early predictions is I have Islam winning. Co-main event, Umar Nurmagomedov. This has something to be an absolutely special thing for the Khabib team. If Umar and Islam can both win, that's absolutely crazy. But Umar's got a very tough challenge in Merab Dvalishvili in front of him. I think that Umar can really go out there and beat Merab. I think that he's got a very good style. He can be able to stuff the takedowns. I think he's going to be more dynamic than Sean O'Malley because he's not going to have to worry about the takedowns as much. But Umar, his first, I shouldn't say real fight inside the bantamweight division, but Umar hasn't fought any really amazing bantamweight besides Corey Sandhagen, who has looked very different in his later rounds of his bouts. But ultimately, UFC 311 is an absolute banger of a card to start off the year. Probably the best card that you could ever forge up, co-main event and main event to make, considering that you also got Jamal Hill versus Garry Prochazka on there. That's a banger too, but ultimately, this card is going to be a great way to start off UFC 2025 with. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA. Please have a like, comment, and subscribe. That is the best way to help the channel grow. And while you're down there, please turn on the post notifications just so you guys are always notified about UFC content releasing every single day. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon with more UFC content and news.